Hello, everyone. I'm Slava. I'm doing NAC things in Mist. Obviously, nothing is as exciting as dynamic spectrum capture, but we will talk about NAC for the next 30 minutes. I'll actually go through this quickly. This first section, we've actually announced our access assurance exactly 1 year ago at MFD9. So we're exactly 12 months past the product launch. We've started from zero. And for those of you who haven't seen it, don't know what it is, this is our cloud-based NAC offering that's a native part of the Mist dashboard. It's natively integrated into the Juniper Mist full stack infrastructure, and it also works with third-party network devices, whatever vendor you're working with. Now, where did we get to after these 12 months? We are seeing excellent growth over the last year. We really have hundreds of customers on board now, and this is production, not pilots, not labs, real production customers. This adoption we are seeing worldwide across all geos, across number of verticals. But one important metric I want to actually focus on is since product launch, we've had 14 software updates to our NAC infrastructure, or what we call them production pushes, with zero operational impact for customers. So now think about this metric and think about how many times you've dared to upgrade your on-prem NAC infrastructure in the past 12 months, and how successful was it? Right, we've done it 14 times. So 40 times without any impact. We're introducing new features, security updates, things like that. In addition to that, we keep expanding our NAC pod infrastructure across the globe. I'll talk about our high availability story a little bit later on. When it comes to customer adoption, right, we are seeing success in enterprises, starting from large IT service management company that deployed this worldwide. We have one of the top 3 security companies running our NAC for their corporate network, or one of the top identity management company. We have lots of K-12 large school districts in Europe, in the United States, in Asia Pac. Again, there's tremendous growth that we are seeing across multiple verticals when it comes to our access assurance. But now I'm going to actually go into the technical bit of our presentation. We'll talk about things that we've added in the past 12 months, or things that are coming up soon. So number one is we've actually introduced to production the easy way how you can do end-to-end posture validation for your managed clients. So traditionally, if you have experience with any traditional NAC vendor, this means installing an add-on agent, making sure it's up to date, making sure it's actually deployed to your endpoints, doing all sorts of things. It's been incredibly complex to deploy, and that's why you're not actually seeing a lot of it out in the wild. The way we've actually done it is we said, okay, most of these devices are actually managed, right? So they're managed by your MDM or UEM platform, whether it's Intune, Jamf, AirWatch, Workspace ONE, and all these platforms. They already know everything there is to know about the client. They already have an agent installed. They already have the data. They already have the compliance policy rules that are actually in place. So the way we integrate is we do cloud-to-cloud integration from our access assurance to these 3 providers. We get the compliance status of the device as it connects to the network. And based on that, we can say, okay, if you're compliant from an MDM point of view, you can get on and get unrestricted access, right? If you're non-compliant, something changed in your setup, maybe you disabled your firewall, forgot to update your software, go to quarantine, VLAN quarantine role and fix your problem, and then come back, right? And the way we've done the integration, I'll do a demo on how how we can set this up is we can actually link the account right in the Mist dashboard. We'll take a look at the Intune, Microsoft Intune as an example. It will just say link Microsoft Intune account. What this will do is it will actually redirect you to Microsoft for sign in. You'll need to log in with an admin account that has permissions. We'll say we'll need to get these permissions to read all the Intune managed device data, click accept, voila, you're integrated, right? The next step is, okay, you have the connector working. The next step is to actually implement this in your policies, where you can say, we'll actually look at this example where you have wireless devices that are compliant, that are doing machine authentication. And we also have a rule for wireless non-compliant devices. So basically, on the left-hand side, you're matching on the compliance status, and any additional attributes on the right-hand side, you're applying your either unrestricted VLAN or unrestricted or restricted quarantine VLAN, depending on the compliance status. Very easy, very straightforward to set up. What's important is, let me actually go to the next part of the demo is, again, the integrated visibility. So one of the things that we really are proud of is we've brought all the client level visibility into one place, both from the network point of view as well as from the NAC point of view. So you can actually look at the client history as it goes through all of the authentication authorization, all of your pre-connect stuff, as well as all of your post-connection things. So in this case, you're actually seeing client connecting for the very first time, doing it TLS. It's actually hitting the non-compliant certificate auth rule because we don't know anything about this client yet. This is the very first time it connects. We then do a lookup. We then do an MDM lookup, which is actually going to jump, since this is actually an Apple device. So we're going to jump. Jump tells us this is a compliant device. We'll do a dynamic COA right then and there, and client re-authenticates. And at this point, client goes through the re-authentication process. We now know the compliance status, and we hit the right wireless compliant user auth policy rule. So if we click on that, it will actually tell us, okay, this client now is compliant, hitting this policy rule, right? So we've simplified end-to-end posture. It's, again, natively integrated into Access Assurance right there in the Mist Cloud dashboard. I'm going to pause before we move to the next section.
Question, does this only works on 802.1x wireless?
Correct. It works for .1x clients, because typically clients that are MDM managed, they do support .1x. They have profiles, and you're not going to do that for your printers, for example.
Slava, I have a question here.
Sure.
So with the NAC capability, do you have options to install the certificates by the admin directly without onboarding, or is this you should onboard your own clients, or do you have both?
I will talk about onboarding in the next session, like in about a minute.
All right.
So, but today, the way we integrate is we assume the customer has their own PKI infrastructure. It's already connected with your MDM. It can issue certificates. We're just trusting that PKI infrastructure, and this is how we do all the IPTLS authentication. I will talk about the onboarding in the next slide. Okay. All right. Let's switch gears and talk about Eduroam, or higher education in general. So one of the asks from higher ed was, could you guys actually start integrating with Eduroam? It's tremendously popular. Pretty much every institution out there has Eduroam SSID. But with Eduroam, you have your home users that are part of your campus, that that are part of your institution, that connect in your campus. But you also have visitors from external institutions that authenticate on your campus. But you need to connect everything together, and this is what Eduroam position is for. Now, when we move to the cloud world, we've actually had conversations with multiple Eduroam NROs or national roaming operators in the United States and in Europe. Everyone has a different perspective of how things should be done, but everybody agrees that a good old legacy radius proxy is the way to go. So the way access assurance integrates into Eduroam Federation, we are actually leveraging Mist Edge as a gateway into Eduroam. Right, so your majority of your authentications, all of your home users, like 90+% of your authentications go to clouds. Access assurance handles that. Anything that concerns external visitors or home roaming users, it goes to access assurance, and then through Mist Edge goes to Eduroam. Right, so we've added that, and this part is really the authentication piece, the authentication integration into Eduroam, and this is in production today since early this year. Now, the next topic, and I will actually do another demo of the policy setup where you can actually.
Before you move on from Eduroam, I'd like to ask a question. It's hard to talk about Eduroam without talking about open roaming, cellular carrier offloading. What does that look like in the NAC solution here?
Oh, so when you talk about the cellular offloading, so one of the things that you see in Eduroam community, and this is still in its infancy, is actually adoption of open roaming, right? So where Eduroam has its own open roaming RCOI. So that means that whenever you're on a mobile device and you're on a cellular network, and if you're in the vicinity of Eduroam, it will actually try to roam from that cellular connection to Wi-Fi using open roaming. However, we don't see this really deployed in the wild yet. We see some institutions trying this, but again, in terms of user experience, it's pretty much the same as you have your saved Eduroam profile. You're on cellular call, or you're on LTE, 5G, whatever. You walk by the university building, you go to on Eduroam city automatically, and you get on with your Wi-Fi calling, etc. So.
Was that your question, Sam, or was it about more, open roaming and?
Well, it was about open roaming support, but then I inferred that yes, it appears to be fully supported based on the context of his answer. So
correct, it is.
Yeah,
it is fully supported. Yeah, it is fully supported.
I got just to follow up to Sam's question, or a little bit different though. Anything or around SIM authentication, like, so for example, there's deployments where there's CBRS deployment or private cellular deployments, and then there's Wi-Fi. So if we're using Mist NAC, I can use basically the SIM that's authenticating into my CBRS network, and also somehow integrate into the Mist NAC, and can also authenticate me on onto Wi-Fi also, without having to use certificates or I don't know any other traditional.
It's a good question, Ali. We've had multiple conversations with private 5G providers on how to achieve this. Nothing is available right now, right? But we are looking at it. There are challenges in terms of how do you who will maintain the user base, right? So all of the SIM registrations, it becomes another identity provider for us, right? So there are conversations, and we have aspirations, but nothing to share at this point. Okay. All right. So let me just quickly demo the Eduroam policy setup, right? So primarily use case, right? When what we see in institutions is you want to differentiate your home users that are on campus versus your visitors. And typically you would drop your visitors into a guest network, and you'll drop your home users into a student or staff network, depending on who they are. And again, this is very easy to achieve with our auth policy page. You'll just say, okay, if you're connecting to Eduroam SSID, if you're part of our institution identified by the realm, so for example, I don't know, dartmouth.edu, things like that, then you go to the right and we're just dropping you to the student network. If you're just connecting to Eduroam SSID and you're not part of our home organization, then you can connect and go to guest. Again, super simple to set up, very easy to track who gets what access within the Mist dashboard. Okay, so the next question would be, what about user onboarding, specifically with Eduroam? Because in Eduroam, most of your client population is actually BYOD. You're not managing them; those are your student devices. And problem number one, or actually not a problem, just a statement. Traditionally, in Eduroam, you would see customers using PEEP. Majority of institutions would use PEEP and just expect the end users to configure their devices with username and password, and things were kind of working most of the time. The issue started when first Android introduced some restrictions on manual configuration of PEEP when it comes to service certificate verification. Then Microsoft went in and said, actually, there's going to be this credential guard feature that's going to disable PEEP by default. You can enable it back in registry. Good luck to end users. So things are getting complicated for PEEP, rightfully so. There's lots of security issues with the MSRP2 in general. And now your alternative is what? EAP-TLS. It's great from a security point of view. It certificates on both sides. But obviously the question is, how do you provision your clients, especially in higher ed situation? You have multiple options today. You have Eduroam provided tools, legacy CAT tool that's only doing PEEP or TTLS. You have Get Eduroam tool, which is a new one, relatively new one. It does support EAP-TLS with certificate provisioning. The issue is it's not yet available everywhere for all of the Eduroam NROs, but it gives you that capability. There's also commercial onboarding solutions like Secure W2, and we partner with them. They do great products and great onboarding solution. Now, the question we always get is, are you guys planning to do something? Are you guys doing something? So let's go and talk about our aspirations. So this is what we are doing for the second half of this year. Similarly to what we already have with the PSK onboarding, the PSK portals that we've launched some time ago, actually a couple of years ago. At this point, we are introducing a concept of a NAC onboarding portal, which can be attached to your single sign-on or your university or your organization single sign-on through SAML. Based on that SSO, the end user will get a prompt to download an app, to install an app. An app will provision the client with a certificate, with a Wi-Fi network profile or wired network profile, depending on what your preference is. Now, we'll take a look at one demo. So this is where this is an Android device. It's already sitting on the NAC onboarding portal. We already have an app installed. We'll just really have this prompt where it says, okay, do you want to download an app, or do you want to continue to join the network? We'll just click continue. It opens up the Maris client app. It does the provisioning, so installs the certificate, it installs the Wi-Fi profile. It says, okay, you're good to go, click finish. It then connects to that Wi-Fi network with your credential. But what's important is this. Let me actually stop here. This is the important bit. So we didn't want to just do the onboarding, because, as I said, there are tools that are doing that today, quite a lot of them. we also wanted to extend this to our Marvis client support. So by doing the onboarding, you're actually enabling Marvis client within the same app. And that Marvis client sends telemetry back to our cloud where we can marry things together. So let's look at what you can get. You can go to Marvis clients. You'll see all of the devices that are currently online, all of the Marvis clients. You'll see all of the data that we are able to gather from them from a fingerprinting point of view. So device model, exact driver version, what OS version is installed, everything that Marvis client gives us. But most importantly, we then can go to a specific client. I just look at that Android device. And when we go inside a client, the first thing we see, obviously, all of the visibility that we have from the network and from the NAC point of view. But what you'll also see, what's going on? 1 second. Sorry. What you'll also see is the client reported events on the top right, and this is what Marvis client brings you. So what you'll see is all of the events that we are able to pick up from the client itself. So when it reports unsuccessful ROMs, because it's actually a sticky client, right? Because we know the client hears a better AP where it's at, but it decides to stick with the current one. We know when the device is locked or unlocked. We can analyze that from a client perspective, right? In addition to that, when you look at the roaming of clients, right? The famous roaming of graph that we've always showed many years before, we can actually now see all of the client reported APs, right? Which APs client can hear during certain period of time. Now, this comes from the Marvis client itself, and when you look at the larger time frame, you can see as the client was moving or as the client was roaming between the APs, you also see all of the client reported data in addition to that, right? So you can now correlate the two together. So we're basically doing an onboarding, and we're doing Marvis client in one package.
Is there an opt-out for that? Other than the stop button? That seems super sketched, like security-wise. You can track students, you can identify where people are and when they are and where they are. You can track employees. Just seems like that's a lot of information that people are downloading a client to connect to the network. And oh, by the way, we're also going to.
Correct. So this is a choice. This is a choice, and this is a choice from a portal per se. So you can say enable Marvis telemetry or disable. Right? That's up to you. So you can just do the onboarding. That's perfectly fine. Or you can do onboarding and telemetry.
Is that at an org level or is it individual?
It's per portal. So you can create multiple portals, and you can say a portal 1 is attached to the SSO for our staff, where we will enable Marvis telemetry. Portal 2 is for our students, for example, and this is where we will disable telemetry, just the onboarding.
Can I get a clarification on the Marvis client? By using the Marvis client and showing all that metrics that you showed, is that a requirement to have Mist NAC? Okay.
No, absolutely not. No. So this is an add-on. So we're really solving the onboarding problem when customers don't have their own PKI, then they don't have any way to deliver certificates to clients. Right. Okay. So this is primarily BYOD.
So Slava, so the Marvis client is morphing to have multiple personas, and those personas can be enabled or disabled. And from a client perspective, the Marvis client telemetry requires permissions from the device itself.
From the user and the device.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And one more thing, by the way. while we're doing the onboarding for BYOD devices, since we are introducing our new PKI service, this will also let you integrate into your MDMs for your corporate devices, for your managed devices. So this way, your MDM can fetch the certificate from us and issue it, right? So we are actually introducing a whole new PKI service, not just a BYOD onboarding.
It is. You just asked the question. Is this iOS and Android? I thought I saw that it was both.
The onboarding is for iOS, Android, Windows, and Mac.
And just to kind of confirm, you said that it will integrate with the MDM, it will grab the client certificate, and then it will just install that certificate as part of the onboarding process? Is that what?
Treat this differently. Okay. Marvis client is pure BYOD, right? No MDM, no nothing, right? Okay. It will do the certificate provisioning on its own. The Marvis client is what's going to deliver the certificate, right? For your managed devices, let's say in enterprises, in any other verticals where you manage devices and you don't have your PKI, but you have your MDM. That's a typical scenario today. You can say, I'm going to use my MDM, talk to Mist as the CA server, and this is how my clients will get a cert.
Okay, so if somebody does not have a PKI, then they can just use this. Okay.
They can use ours.
I'm sorry, you said there's an onboarding SSID that pushes this app to you? Is that how it works?
It's an onboarding portal, Kevin, and it's an out-of-band portal, so you can access it, from your LTE, from any onboarding SSID, if you will. It's a portal which will. Let me go back.
Okay. Is this app available for anyone, or is this app only like a private app?
It's an app that you will be able to download from Google Play Store and App Store. It's a store app. Yep.
Thanks.
Sure. Okay. So.
One more question. Does the app? So say you download the app and you go to 2 different venues, unrelated customers. Will the app know that you're on a different network?
You won't connect to a different network with that. It's a per org. It's an org specific, unless the other org will actually trust the certificates issued from the org one.
Okay, so if I download this for one venue, one retailer, and I go to another venue, I have to re-download the app, or how would that work?
So think of this as this is not really a guest onboarding, right? For guests, this is not what we would recommend. This is really bring your own device.
Okay.
Type situation where you first authenticate the user through a single sign-on. So it needs to be an employee, it needs to be a student, somebody who's part of your organization. And then we would, let the app download and app will provision a certificate.
Would you imagine something like this being enabled for open roaming, for example? Like offering the same type of client to make open roaming that much more seamless, and then still being able to use that as an endpoint to gather all the telemetry and data that you need?
Everything is possible with this. Yeah, absolutely. So open roaming today, right, as it grows, there are so many IDPs today. That's just that's
for open roaming. You said that you guys support it. Do you guys have an option, like a one-click button that configures your network to support open roaming today?
We do.
And
so we actually.
It connects you to all the IDPs?
So the way this works is you enable open roaming as your passpoint operator. We actually simplify that. You literally just say, I want open roaming on my SSID. And then we would use our backend to talk to Open Roaming Federation. So it will work with any IDP.
Cool.
Okay, thank you.
That's awesome.
So Slava, one more question.
Good.
So the NAC capability and PKI, does it come together, or they are separate offerings, different subscriptions?
It's an additional subscription for PKI service and onboarding.
Okay, thanks.
Right. Okay. In the interest of time, since we are, I think, already past, let's talk about one last thing. We'll talk about our high availability, high reliability story, and we've brought this up last year. Again, we are at the point where we have the worldwide presence when it comes to access assurance pods. So the way our redundancy and high availability works is we detect from where your authentication request comes from. So if you have sites in France, you have sites in on the East Coast in the United States, we would automatically redirect that authentication request to the nearest pod we have deployed in that geo. Similarly, if one of these pods go down, we will steer that traffic automatically to the next nearest pod. So today, we've done this at the global level. It's deployed worldwide, but the obvious question is, for customers specifically in verticals like healthcare, where you have critical locations where you need to survive, internet and power outages. So let's say you have a hospital and then the power goes down, the whole hospital goes offline, then it comes back up. Everything is online, but your router is down and your ISP is down. You don't have any connectivity. So you don't have any caching as well because everything just rebooted 5 seconds ago. So what do you do? So what we are doing is we're introducing a concept of site survivability. In the normal condition, when cloud is reachable and all our infrastructure can talk to our cloud, everything goes to access assurance, everything goes to the cloud, does the heavy lifting. But at the same time, we are actually building up a cache on a local Mist edge that will be acting as will be running this caching service. So it learns about every client that's actually authenticated and authorized, and it caches the policy on that Mist edge for that specific location.
Is this a configurable parameter? Because there would be places where you want that cache very short and where you want it very long.
Yeah.
Okay.
But the typical thought process is you look at historical clients because you want to see that if you see clients online on site for a period of a couple of days, you want to make sure that when things when one becomes unreachable, these clients can authenticate and they get placed into the right VLAN policy, etc. So we're going to cache that on the Mist edge for that location. Now, when things go south and your cloud is unreachable for whatever reason, Mist edge starts its authentication service using the cache that it already has, and this cache survives the reboot, so we will survive power outages as well. So at that point, all your local infrastructure, your APs and switches will talk to the Mist edge. Mist edge will do the authentication. So everything that we've cached, we will authenticate your .1x and map clients, and we will return all the policies that we've cached for the past days. New clients can still connect and authenticate, but at that point they will be assigned like a default, what we call a critical service policy. Like you can configure which VLAN they will be dropped into, which policy will get assigned. And this is where we really wanted to create a site survivability concept that would not make us put a full-blown NAC on-prem. We didn't want to repeat the mistakes of the past. So we really wanted to make this service very lean and tidy. Right? It's just going to cache. Cloud is still going to do all the heavy lifting. But in case we need to survive like a full WAN outage, a full internet outage, we can.